such as San Jose State now can provide all the information about their undergraduate degree to the Board of Accountancy, and the Board of Accountancy can then register them as a recognized provider of undergraduate accounting degrees.
I can imagine you must have a lot of interesting stories. I'm just curious, is there a way you can share one or two very interesting stories with the audience without releasing any, I would say, sensitive information?
Sure. Well, I always like to tell my cruise ship story. And I was at Ernst & Young, and this is maybe 20 years ago. And I was scheduled to go to training on Thursday. And on Tuesday night, I got a call from our national scheduler, and she said, we need you in Ketchikan, Alaska on Friday morning to board a cruise ship. And I thought she was joking, but it turned out to be true. And so I met up with another Ernst & Young associate in Seattle, along with the vice president of a cruise line, a major cruise line, and we headed to Ketchikan, Alaska, and boarded a ship there that was in the middle of a 14-day Alaska cruise, and set up in a room called the boardroom with great big windows and just very unusual situation. The concern that this cruise line had was that their payroll expenses were way over budget. So they had done a little bit of work, and they were concerned that there were fictitious employees, which turned out to be the case. So through interviews, looking at documents, we identified the fact that, and this was happening, so Ernst & Young boarded 8 cruise ships on that day. In Alaska, in the Atlantic, in Greece, and this was happening on all of the ships. There was a way that you could, and I guess as an aside, the most important payroll report, was how many 20s, 10s, 5s, 1s, nickels, dimes, and pennies were needed for that next payroll, because everybody got paid in cash. So this report would be generated a couple of days before. They'd dock someplace. Brinks would come on and bring all that in. They would stuff the envelopes and give the envelopes to each of the crew members. There was a way to manipulate that report such that you could add, and they were adding 5 additional employees, and that money would come in. They would stuff 5 additional envelopes, and then they would keep those additional envelopes. About $40,000 a month was a large amount. And then you could take those employees off of the final report without changing the bottom line total. And they would do that and send it in. And so what happens is all of a sudden your actual payroll expense is much higher than what you're budgeting. And this was the cause of that. And so it was quite a thing to be cruising the Alaska countryside, looking out the windows at this beautiful countryside. And at the same time, I was telling the person that I was interviewing that I know that you took the money. Just tell me how you did it. And very surreal. And then the parent company wanted us to check out their other subsidiary. And so I took a red eye to Cape Canaveral in Florida. And at this point, coming from Alaska, I had long coat, long sleeve shirt, long pants, shoes, and I boarded the ship. And then as people were coming in flip-flops and shorts and T-shirts, I was very out of my element there. And what we found very shortly, that every cash handoff had 2 people. There were cameras everywhere. There were lots of tight controls over this cash, and there was no problem. So I was on a 5-day Bermuda cruise with very little to do. So that's my cruise ship story.
Wow, that's so interesting. So When you ask that person directly, hey, I know what you're doing. Tell me, tell me how you did it. What was his reaction when you
It
asked that question?
was very unusual, no effect. His demeanor didn't change at all. And it's not unusual for someone not to admit that they did something wrong. And the reason why I'm asking that question and why I will ask that question or say, hey, with this information, it looks like you took the money, is so that if I'm missing something, they can tell me, they can correct me if I'm wrong. So what we do as forensic accountants, and I would say as CPAs, is we're on fact-finding missions. We're just trying to get to what actually happened. And so I'm frequently telling them, when I look at this and this and that, it looks like this. Is that right? Is that wrong? And every once in a while, there'll be an additional piece of information that they provide that will cause me to change my thoughts about it. It was like, oh, I see. I get it now. Oh, I would have done the same thing. So it's a very strange thing to confront someone and say, I think you stole the money. But it's necessary.
Yeah, I could imagine that you probably have to read the body language, the facial reactions, how they react in order to tell if they are telling you the truth or not, right?
Yes. And so now that we're doing so much more virtually and through Zoom, you lose that opportunity to study facial expressions and body language. And so you're left with your core investigative skills, which is a collection of facts and information that you're putting together, and then statements by the person who you're interviewing, taking all of those statements and comparing it to the facts that you've developed, the information that you've collected, and see if it's consistent. And then where there are inconsistencies, either following up, or if there's no more follow-up to be done, pointing that out and using that as a basis for a conclusion.
So now with the virtual litigation services, I'm just curious, with the AI is so popular now, they can manipulate the process. How can you avoid or how can you minimize the AI manipulation in the litigation services?
Yeah, I don't see it as necessarily a need to minimize, although it's an important investigative fact. So now I'll ask for all AI prompts and all AI results. That's one way that AI is working its way into forensic accounting. And then number two, I'll check to see what the results of those prompts are and the reference sources to see if the results are true and if the reference sources actually exist. So I use AI frequently to do research, and it will frequently come back with very nice sounding, say, results or cases or references to agreements. But when I look further, I find that the AI agent just made it up. And so if that can happen to me, that can also happen in, say, the opposing expert's work or in the company's work or in someone who's trying to embezzle money in their work. That's how it's showing up, how AI is showing up.
So that means that you have the way to check if it is AI report or not by going very details where the source come from, is that a real resource or not, or it's just like a fake resource, it look like a real one.
Yeah, I think first it starts with finding out have they used AI, whether it be the opposing party in litigation or whether it be employees of a corporation that you're interviewing to learn more about transactions and accounting systems and financial statements, whether they're the target of the investigation or if they're just the one who are providing you with information about how systems and processes work.
I see. I see. Yeah, I just came back from my maternity leave and I was very surprised how crazy and how fast AI just grows. When I did not work for about 4 to 5 months, I came back and said, "Oh my God, it's just getting so much stronger." And it literally like everywhere now. I'm in tax services and I we use that like literally many times in every day. And so it's just so powerful for
Well,
AI.
I'm going to use this as an opportunity to pivot a little bit. As you may or may not know, I'm on the State Board of Accountancy in California. So the Governor Newsom, appointed me to the board in 2024. We have 15 members, and 8 are non-CPAs, and 7 of us are CPAs. So it's meant to protect the public, make sure that CPA services provided in California are held to professional standards and cause no harm to the consumers, and that's our purpose. One of the things that we're looking at right now is what regulations should we put in place to govern the use of AI. And that's a current topic of our board meetings and our task forces. And another reason why I wanted to bring up the State Board of Accountancy is because of the effects to graduating seniors or the effects to accounting students or even non-accounting majors. We've spent the last couple of years changing the rules for the education requirement. We were the first state to do that, to take the lead here. In California, there's 115,000 CPAs. We have the most CPAs in the country. And in looking at the dwindling pipeline of CPAs, we found that one of the hurdles was the 150-hour requirement, education requirement. It essentially means that you have to get an undergraduate degree and then a master's degree. Undergraduate degree is typically around 120 semester units, and a master's degree is 30 semester units. And that's quite a burden. There are no other professions other than doctors and lawyers that require this additional education. And so through a lot of outreach to accounting firms, accountants, educators, consumers, we found that the ideal mix, instead of 150 hours of education plus 1 year of experience, would be to have an undergraduate degree in accounting plus 2 years of experience. So that now there's no longer the number of unit requirements, but rather it's an accounting degree or an undergraduate degree with appropriate accounting classes, and 2 years of experience is what you need to become a CPA, which is a much easier and more valuable path. And so what we did last year is we worked with the legislature and came up with language and a law that was passed in October, signed by Governor Newsom, that is now in place. And this year we're working on the specific regulations, like what accounting classes. And January 1, 2027, if you have an undergraduate degree in accounting, that is all the education that you need. And and so now all of the other states have followed our lead and are doing something similarly, and are in various stages of this process. So it's easier now if you're an accounting major to become a CPA, or if you have an undergraduate degree to add a few accounting classes and become a CPA. More information will be coming out of the California State Board of Accountancy throughout this next year. Thanks for letting me talk about that.
No, that is so amazing. I'm so glad that finally it gets to the point that we don't have to get 150 credits, because I know we have so many conversations back and forth about, hey, do we need 150 credits? But now with working experience, it's just make it so much more relevant now to become a CPA with the accounting degree.
Yep. One of the services that the Board of Accountancy staff provide is a transcript review. And under the current requirements of 150 semester hours, units, is, this detailed transcript review, which is very confusing for students. What we're going to do in this rulemaking process this year is establish the criteria by which a university's undergraduate accounting degree can be recognized, such as San Jose State now can provide all the information about their undergraduate degree to the Board of Accountancy, and the Board of Accountancy can then register them as a recognized provider of undergraduate accounting degrees. And so all you need to know as a San Jose State student is that you got an accounting degree, and that's accepted by the State Board of Accountancy. No longer will the State Board of Accountancy be getting its hands into individual students, individual classes, make it less confusion and greater ease for accounting majors or undergraduates.
I think someone came up to me and asked that if we lower the requirement to be a CPA, do you concern that the quality of being a CPA may reduce?
Yes, the big concern of all of us from the very, very beginning. But what we thought is that this is actually enhancing the CPA designation by adding that second year of experience, hands-on experience. It's better than the additional classroom experience. In many cases, those 30 additional hours were made up non-accounting technical skills or even non-technical skills, such as maybe theology or French literature, courses just to get to 150 hours. So we feel like the quality will still be there and the enforcement will still be there. So at the State Board of Accountancy, a lot of what we do is enforcement. So as soon as there are reports of CPAs not meeting professional standards, that gets thoroughly investigated, evaluated, and disposed of, including the revocation of licenses or putting licensees on probation, whatever the case might be. So the enforcement won't change, and the quality of experience, training, education is likely to be enhanced.
I think this information is very, very helpful for the audience on my podcast, because that's the targeted audience that we have on the podcast, people who are going to graduate, who wants to be a CPA, or young professionals who want to be a CPA. Now you don't need to sit for additional 30 credits, just one more year experience and you can be a CPA once you pass 4 CPA sections as well.
I'd also like to put in a plug for volunteering for the State Board of Accountancy. I started by volunteering on the Enforcement Advisory Committee, and that committee holds hearings about 5 times a year where CPAs who have been accused of not following professional standards come in, and CPAs like myself conduct informal, they're pretty formal interviews, fact-finding interviews with the court reporter and a deputy attorney general in the room. And we go through and ask questions and gain a greater understanding of why the allegation has been made, and then make a recommendation about further discipline, which ranges from, there's nothing wrong here, there's just a misunderstanding, you should drop this, to, this is very serious, you should consider revoking this person's license. And again, all of those matters are very interesting. It wasn't a big commitment, and it felt very valuable. So the State Board of Accountancy has volunteer opportunities that I would encourage all of your listeners to explore, or reach out to me directly and I'll be able to give you some insight.
That's interesting. How many hours do you expect to volunteer if someone would like to do that?
The hearings, if there are 5 a year, that it's a full day. So it's 8 hours, and sometimes there's travel. And to be properly briefed and ready for the interview process, it might take up to another 8 hours to go through all the documents that have been collected. So 16 hours, 5 times a year, approximately, something like that. So it is an investment of your time. But what I've found is, oh my gosh, it's paid off in multitudes for me professionally. A big part of the benefit is interacting with other CPAs throughout the state of California. I've really enjoyed that.
And does that mean that people will have to travel to San Jose? It can be anywhere in California, in different cities.
That's right. So the Enforcement Advisory Committee tries to divide up their meetings in between Sacramento, which is Northern California, and Southern California. Same thing with the State Board of Accountancy. We have 6 meetings a year, and up until the pandemic, we split between Northern and Southern California. Post-pandemic, we're in Sacramento in Northern California 5 times a year, and in Southern California 1 time a year, and usually at a university. Last year, we were at San Marcos State. This year, we went to and visited Northridge, Cal State University Northridge, and interacted with the students, and the students had a chance to interact with the board.
Wow, this is very, very useful for audience who would like to volunteer for the California Board of Accountancy. So I hope that whoever listening interested in this volunteering opportunity, please reach out to Doug. He's happy to give you more information about this opportunity.
Yes.
So Doug, it seems like you very involved in shaping the CPA profession for the future. I'm just wondering if you can share with young professionals what characteristics you think they should focus on to grow in this fast growth in technology age, and also in a very virtual world at the moment as well.
Find your passion. That's find your passion. Find what you really like to do. And, it's not like I picked this career. This career picked me or found me through a series of very fortunate, unexpected events. This is the path that I've come to. And what I found is that I just love doing forensic accounting. I love digging through financial statements, and I love GAAP. I love GAS. I love all of these standards. And, now having the ability to go from a receipt all the way through the general ledger and journal entries right on up into the financial statements, or taking an item on the financial statements and drilling all the way down to the credit card statement or the invoice, whatever the case might be. I love doing that detailed work. I love doing reconciliations, and frequently I just cannot reconcile, and it takes days. And then suddenly at some point a light flickers on, and it was like, oh, I get it. And all the information that I've collected to date makes sense and fits. And all the information that I collect after that makes sense and fits. So as you can tell, it really suits me. And with this passion, then I can go through hard times and continue to go through them. So it's hard to know which direction to go early in your career. But I think that if you follow the path that's in front of you, and along the path, identify those things that you really love to do and follow those and try and incorporate those in what you're doing, you'll likely end up in a place of reward. You'll likely end up with a career that you enjoy, and it's likely that you'll be very valuable.
I think it's a very common answer for a lot of CPA leaders when I ask about tips for young professionals. But I also got another question back like, hey, someone came to me, Rosie, you said that we should follow passion. But how about the living expense? But sometimes you follow the passion, but you don't have high salary and you want to have a nice life and buy nice stuff, nice things. Will CPA career give me good salary? Will I get high paid if I move up in this profession? What would you say?
Well, I'm laughing because it made me think of my early years in warehouses, counting widgets at the copy machine, going through thousands of pages of bank statements and reconciling to the cash balance, doing late at night, on weekends, doing things that no one would enjoy, that no one would have a passion for. But in doing those things, I learned a lot. And so there's a certain investment that's necessary. So why would I do those things? Well, I saw that people in the career with 5 years, 10 years, 20 years of experience were having great success, both personally and financially, and in their lifestyle and in who they were as a person, well-rounded, lots of information. So one of the challenges as an accounting major is that the starting salary might not be that of a lawyer, and it might not be as much as you hoped it would be, but it grows pretty rapidly as your value grows. And the way that you create value is through experience and doing lots of hard things that you don't want to do for good reason. So you're really looking to find the reason, and hopefully that reason is tied directly to your passion, what you love to do and where you would like to go, what direction you're going and want to go.
I just have to say that having a passion is just significantly important. It's just change everything, how you see things, how you have motivation to go through tough time, as you mentioned, how you can work like 60, 70 hours per week during busy time. So it's very important to find your passion. Money will come. Someone told me that money will come once you find your passion. Money will come after that. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, first of all, congratulations on being a new mom. That's fantastic.
Thank
And
you.
let me ask you this. Did you have really hard work, unglamorous work that you had to do
As being a mom.
as being a professional? Well, I know as a mom for sure the answer is yes, but as a professional starting out is what I meant.
Yes, I was an international student. It was very tough for me to find a job and then to prove that I was sponsorship, and then I didn't get any sponsorship. So it was really tough for me when I started my career after I graduate. Even I have like internship experience, I have leadership experience, and I have high GPA. I think my first job after I graduate is at the minimum wage with a GPA 3.8, internship experience 6 months, and tons of leadership experience in college. I was so sad and disappointed. I was like, oh my God, I can just work at the restaurant, get the tips, get this minimum payment, don't need this degree at all. And I still can pay all the expenses. But over time, I stay with the profession. I become a CPA. I find my passion in tax, and it's getting better and better. But yeah, it was tough at the beginning.
Yeah. So as you look back on it, would you say that it was worth it?
Oh, definitely worth it. I learned so much from those tough times. Because I was in private and I was in audit. All those experience is support what I'm doing right now. Even it seems like, oh, it's not tax, but actually it teach me like how to, for example, in private, it teach me the financial statements. I understand very well for the first year associate. I was like, wow, Rosie, this is not the first year associate experience that we're expecting, but hey, I have 5 year experience in private before that. Or like I work in audit, it teach me how to make sure that all the numbers tie and everything. I just say that it's worth it every single minute, every single second in my earlier career.
Yeah, that's great, Rosie. And then as a result, you've become really valuable in the marketplace and incredibly valuable to your clients. And there's a premium. The market pays a premium for that.
Exactly. I would say that it's so true. I agree. So yeah, so people they come to me and say, "Hey Rosie, should I go to audit? Should I go to tax? Should I go to this and that?" I was like, "You are young in your career. Just try it. Let's just try it. Like if you don't like it, you can try something else until you find something you like." I think it's very lucky for a lot of people. They find exactly what they want from very beginning. For me, I had to try so many different things to figure out what I like. And I think it happened to many people as well. So I always encourage people, if you doubt about what you want to do, just try it. You have time and there are always something you learn from it.
That's good advice.
Yeah, I would imagine you would say the same, Doug. If someone come to ask you, "Hey, Doug, should I go to audit, or forensic accounting, or tax? What would you recommend?"
So I would tell you a little bit of each, but I found that forensic accounting, for me, having that audit background and understanding the financial statements, what they say, the disclosures, how they're put together, has been incredibly valuable. Although I have a little bit of a knowledge gap when it comes to tax returns. Sometimes the only information that I have is tax returns. So I need to reach out to tax professionals to make sure that I'm evaluating this correctly if I have any question in my mind.
So yeah, talking about that, it means connection is very important in this profession as well. Networking is very important as well. So you can connect to other CPAs and ask any questions when you need in the areas that you're not specialized in.
Yes.
Yeah, Doug, thank you so much for the interview today. I really appreciate the information you share with me and with the audience as well.
Thank you, Rosie, for having me. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you. You have a great holiday season.
You too. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you.